One word describes Simon Lane's speech.
Emotional.
Oh, fabulous.
Fabulous.
Good education.
Future.
Hi everybody, as you can see I've just arrived here at London Marylebone Station here for a huge fantastic event. I'm going to be a guest speaker at the London Olympia at the BAHRS convention. Really looking forward to speaking there. Simon, real nice to meet you.
Really nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, pleasure, and thanks for asking me. Really honoured to be here.
So we'll do. Should we your talk, and then a Q&A together at the end?
Sounds
good. Take these two. Is that okay?
Yeah, fantastic.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, brilliant.
Lovely. Can we get started? Yeah.
Getting ready now.
Yeah. Your makeup for you, that's what you're expected.
Oh, come on now.
No, I'll draw the line somewhere. Have an inside pocket I can go to, or
Yeah.
no phone in there or anything?
No.
Cool.
No wallet either.
No.
Can't win them all, can you?
Introducing Simon Lane from Bramwood Clinic.
Hi everybody. I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Simon Lane. I'm a director practitioner at Bramwood Clinic, and I would like to tell you how I got into the SMP industry. Everybody has special dates within a calendar year. I think that they remember with importance. Could be a birthday, a wedding, a christening. I have all of those dates, but I also have one other. May the 14th, 1974. I was 2 years old when I accidentally knocked a boiling hot teapot over. The contents went onto my head, down my face, and onto my hands. I was taken to hospital, where I spent 4 days in intensive care. It was only then the doctors were able to tell my parents how severely damaged my scalp was. I received a 3rd-degree burn. I'd lost 80% of the density of my hair on top of my head. All what remained now was the hair around the back and sides. The thick protective layer of skin that once protected my head was now gone. What was left was red raw flesh. I had to wear a bandage on my head, as you can see here, for over 2 years, waiting patiently for the skin to reform. What came back wasn't the thick protective layer of skin. It was a very tight, thin, brittle base. So sensitive to the touch that even now, if my head gets knocked, my skin will tear and it will bleed. When I was 4 years old, my parents looked to the NHS to help me. I was given a child-sized wig to wear. Now, this isn't the hair systems that we see of today, very fine and virtually undetectable. No, this was 1974. The wig that I had to wear was a thick mesh base, very itchy on the scalp, held down by double-sided tape, and more ginger in colour, not matching the blonde hair I had on the back and sides of my hair. When you stand out differently in your appearance, you become a target. You become a target for bullies. I was bullied at school. The calls of Wiggy, Baldy, Wighead, I heard them all. One particular time, a lad who was a lot older than me grabbed me in a headlock and wrestled the wig off my head, holding it aloft like it was some kind of football trophy, much to the amusement of his friends. These kind of things would have an effect on anybody, and it had an effect on me. I come from a very loving and protective family, but I was losing confidence and becoming very withdrawn. At 15 years old, The wig was now becoming more blonder, thankfully, and I was seeking romance. It's really devastating to hear that a girl doesn't want to go out with you because she's heard from her friends that you wear a wig. This was a continuation throughout my adolescence until I was 22 years old, when I wanted to find a solution to my hair loss. So I looked at getting a hair transplant. I was told by the surgeon that the area was way too big. No hair transplant would make any impact within it. And I was advised, go and get a scalp reduction. 4 corners of my scalp was sliced into 2. The skin was folded tightly into the middle and pulled very, very tight and held together by 15 very large and painful stitches. It did reduce the size of the burn, but as we now know, over time, skin is elasticated and the area did grow again and become bigger and bigger. But it enabled me to get the transplant I wanted. The surgeon was very honest from the start. He said there was no guarantees. I was the first person in the world to have a hair transplant on scar tissue. If he could get 50 to 60% density on my head, this was going to be deemed as a success. I had 4 hair transplants over 3 years, and I got the density that the surgeon was hoping for. I can't tell you how great it felt. For the first time in my life, I was 24 years old and I didn't wear a wig. It felt great to go outside and actually see hair sprouting from my head once again. More conversations with the surgeon. It was advised that I didn't have any more hair transplants until I was in my 30s. And I understood the reason for that. But my hair still wasn't quite thick enough. It didn't match the density around the back and sides of my head. So I started to look at using hair concealer. Hair concealer and bad weather do not go well together. And I soon found this out. Whenever it rained, I ran for cover. I would grab a newspaper bag, anything just to cover my hair up. It started to become an obsession with me. Hair concealer isn't good for your skin either. It suffocates the scalp, and within time, I started to get skin problems. Rather large red spots on my head, rashes, and an uncontrollable urge to just scratch, much more than I ever wanted to with my hair system. Over time, 15 years I used hair concealer, but my hair was now becoming thinner and thinner. I was using more of this hair concealer to disguise my bald head. In truth, my appearance didn't look great, and I knew it. Not only was I having an effect physically on me, but mentally as well. It all come to a head one day when I went shopping with my wife, and I felt like the whole world was looking at my hair and laughing at me. I finally broke down and said to my wife I couldn't carry on. I had to do something about it, but more importantly, I think I was on the brink of a mental breakdown. She understood this and was going to support me in any way. I finally confided in my hairdresser, who said he couldn't do anything more with my hair. It was impossible. And he told me about a revolutionary new hair loss procedure called, at the time, MHT, micro hair tattooing. He told me to go along and see the people there, and I did. In October 2010, I had 5 procedures. You can see how I looked when I first had my hair transplant and a combination of the hair concealer. In 2010, I looked like this. I had my first of my 5 sessions and it felt great. I was slowly getting something that replicated hair follicles at a short length. I was looking like I got a short buzz cut appearance. At the end of my 5th session, I remember it was raining as I come out of the clinic, and I felt great. I looked up to the sky, I took my top off, and I held my head like this to the heavens, and I let the rain lash down on my head. This may sound silly to some people, but please understand, I'd never experienced this in my life, and it felt fantastic. I was finally liberated. For 3 months, I went around with my short buzz cut appearance, showing people how proud I was of it. And then I was fortunate. I had the opportunity to get into the industry, and I took it with both hands. I knew how this made me feel, and I knew it was going to change other people's lives. So for the first 12 months, I worked hard, and I was treating 2 to 3 clients every day. Whilst working and doing the treatments, I started to notice flaws within what we were doing. The density wasn't perhaps right, but more importantly, I started to look at the hairlines. I'd got a 38-year apprenticeship in studying people's hair because I wanted that hair and I wanted that hairline, and I would groom my own hair to try to make it look like that. And I could see that although we were creating the correct shapes, like the peaked hairline, the curved shapes, the dots we were applying within there were in a straight line. And I knew hair didn't grow like that. So it got me thinking. I carried on working, and then I started to get a pen and paper, and I started to just trickle out a hairline to see if I could do something different. Within 2 weeks, I was onto something. I showed my colleague, Paul Clark, and we knew we'd got something. And I tried out on a willing client the first hairline. As you can see, it worked. This is the jagged hairline. It breaks out nice and soft, giving suggestion of a nice, soft, natural appearance. Within weeks, everybody, all my clients, were coming to us and asking for this hairline. Indeed, older clients were now coming back and saying, give me the jagged hairline. It was revolutionary and broke the industry. At the same time, I started to look at other hairlines. This is fantastic and complements a peaked and a curved shape. But then I started thinking, what about people who want a receded hairline? So my logic was, well, if you're asking for a receded hairline, you're asking for early signs of hair loss. So why are we still applying heavy density around the front? So again, I began working, and I started to disconnect the hairline even more at the front, giving breaks within it. If we're giving the suggestion of a recession around here, let's make the hairline even softer and break it out even more. My apologies, I haven't got a picture of that at the moment. We didn't quite manage to get it here on time. I wasn't done. I wanted to keep innovating and pushing boundaries, and the next thing I wanted to look at was something obviously close to my own heart, scars. I was very conscious still of my scars. I could see in certain angles and in certain lights they were still there. Because at that time, we would only work the pigments within the strip area, within the scar tissue. So my logic was then, well, what if we actually started to create density, fill the pigment above the scar and start to below into the nape of the neck. This would create a flow. This would make it a lot better and stop people's natural eye from staring at the scar. If we start to blend it out around to the sides as well, this will take the eye away, it surely will, and it has. And that's what we do now. We start to blend and we create more density around the scar area. This is called a blackout technique. The final thing close to my heart was how to help people who'd suffered burns similar to myself. I began thinking that through my own experience, I know that the skin was tight. It's also pale in colour. Through the advances we were then getting, we were able to use smaller needles, and I knew that was important because when we apply the needle into tight skin, if we apply too much pressure, we risk having a bigger dot in there and it won't replicate the hair follicles. If we also use a lighter pigment, it will hold because of how tight the skin is and how pale it is. What I began to look at then with this client was the existing patterns of his hair and the density and try to transfer it onto the front. My big thanks to Dawn Forshaw who sent that client over to me as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me, and a big thank you to Dr. Chris for letting me be here today. I'd just like to finally say the procedures that I've helped innovate are now being used internationally around the world, and I'm extremely proud of that. We're seeing some fantastic scalp micropigmentation practitioners like Mark Smith who are out pushing boundaries as well. For myself, I will continue to innovate and push boundaries and keep changing lives forever. Thank you very much. What's this like?
He said, "Oh, boys, catching up. How you doing?" All
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So do we punch?
We do one of them.
Do it.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we do one of those. Yeah.
How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did. I enjoyed that. That was good, man.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
It was nice to see you, and what I loved about your talk was just the detail to explain to other folks what they actually what you went through.
Like the emotional
The
side.
emotional side, because a lot of people, especially guys with hair, they don't really fully understand it. I didn't have hair at one point myself.
Yeah,
I
I
had
saw
7
the
hair
picture.
transplants,
Yeah, wow, yeah.
so I know all the little things and how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And but obviously not to the degree that you.
But
and the
you
things
know
that
what?
you
I
went through.
don't. Everyone's got their own journey into it,
Yeah.
and I don't think that my story is any sadder than you, because at that time it's depressing for anyone, and you just think there's no way, there's
Yeah.
no light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
and you would have gone through the same emotion as me. It's just I went through it,
Yeah.
perhaps a little bit younger, but we were both there thinking mentally
Yeah.
that there's nothing that can be done, and how am I going to go out? And
Yeah, you think about all the little things you think about when you lose your hair.
Yeah.
Even just going out to the shop and things like that, or
Well, you constantly just. I think you're always one step ahead. You're looking into the future. Like you said, going to the shop. Who's going to be there if I go to the pub? He's a piss take. I can't go there.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for a reaction all the
Yeah,
time. It's
yeah.
like me with the hair concealer. I was just constantly just looking up to the sky all the time.
Yeah.
Just go and waiting for a cloud, and I was like, quick,
Yeah,
in,
in, out.
quick, get in, get in. And,
Well-
and it just becomes an obsession.
Yeah.
It just overtakes your life.
Yeah.
And as a previous relationship, it ruins relationships because you stop thinking about what's important to you, and you concentrate, and you're so obsessed with your hair. And the people who are meant to be you're not interested. And then sometimes it's too late. They're like, I'm
Yeah.
gone now.
Well, what I noticed when you were talking, the whole room was fully engaged. Everybody was just focused on you, watching you, listening. There was silence, but pure. So you could have heard a pin drop.
Oh man.
Yeah. But
Oh,
well done.
Yeah, well done to you as well, but
Cheers, buddy.
let's go and have that beer.
Let's go and have a beer.
Just done my speech, really enjoyed it. It was engaging, about 25 hair transplant surgeons there as well. Some nice questions asked as well. Really enjoyed it. Just going to go and get something to eat now, and maybe a cheeky beer. So I've obviously come here for the bubbly, and look who I've just bumped into. Hello Marcella, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, happy to see you.
And lovely to see you as well. Marcella was with me 2 years ago. I trained her in scalp micropigmentation, and it's great to see you here.
Yes, it was a very nice surprise seeing you here.
And thank you for guiding me towards the champagne.
Oh, always a pleasure.
Are you keeping well?
Yes, very well.
And are you enjoying?
All this,
The treatments of today?
To find how many things you can find here. The last thing, like this machine, like seeing you here, like many innovations every year.
Right, yeah, and there's so much to see around here as well, isn't there?
Yes, and just the fact to introduce SMP here is a huge thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've got 2 days of this, and you're here for the full 2 days?
Yes, the 2 days of lectures.
2 days.
Yes.
And just tell me, any plans to go home to Mexico?
Soon, especially when I knew someone here is going to have a lecture in Tulum. Yeah.
And are you going to come back and see me at Bramwell Clinic at any time?
Yes, that is a very bright idea that we need to mature that.
Okay. We'll drink to that. Thank you.
Cheers.
So I've had a really fun day here at the London Olympia. Some great speakers, some amazing people here. It's been a really educational experience. I'm going to go home now.